Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome to this new series in which I'm going to be talking you through some of the ideas that I've got for the house for the new year. So for those of you that are wondering, if you've got questions, I do have a full Q&A that probably answers every question you could possibly have, so I'll link that below. But in a nutshell, we're going to have the house to ourselves in the new year, so we're going to have a ton more space, and it's going to be really our first opportunity to put a stamp on a home together. I have already been talking through this a little bit. I've got a second Instagram account called Diary of a Spendaholic. I know I always kind of make that one word, which you can go and follow if you're interested in this kind of thing. And I've also been kind of posting mood boards and ideas and just general my stream of consciousness on my blog, which is michaela.com, both of which will be linked below. It's not going to be groundbreaking. I'm going to be talking about kind of what I like, my style, which is mostly influenced by American home bloggers and Nancy Meyers movies. All very basic and probably as basic as it comes when it comes to home interiors, but I like what I like and I'm going to share what I do. So in today's video, we're going to talk through the downstairs. My whole kind of vibe is like open. I love like a Newport Beach or a Hampton style. You know, I told you basic. But our space is going to be pretty open plan. So at the moment we've got some doors up in our kitchen because we had to separate the space because what would be the dining area and the snug is my mum and dad's living area. And so right now we have the kitchen that's kind of like cut off with some doors which can open up, and then we've got the dining area and the snug. So once it's just ours, we will keep those doors open the majority of the time. I think we're going to keep the doors. We may change the doors for something else, but I think we're going to keep the doors there because I like the idea of being able to close them. If the kids have people around, if I have people around, it's just nice to have that as an option since we had it built in anyway. But I probably would prefer different doors. But we will have it as more of an open space. So I'm excited to have that anyway, just to kind of like to see what we're going to do with it. So I know I'm not alone in that kind of like Hamptons, Newport Beach style house love. But the kind of colour palette that I'm going for is like blues and whites, creams, that kind of thing, with like brass, like distressed wood, some greenery. It's, again, not reinventing the wheel, I realise, but that's just what I like. Everything that I'm drawn to tends to be that. If you are struggling at this, if you're kind of like at this stage in like a home building or home designing process, if you're thinking like, what do I want my house to look like? I would recommend the same thing that I would recommend if you're looking at like your actual wardrobe style. Look on Pinterest. Again, this is fairly simple, but look on Pinterest, make yourself a board, just pin everything that you like. After you've done that, look at it and see what are the standout things. Like, is there a specific theme? There'll be some things like, I'll pin things and love it, but no, I don't want to live with it. There are things that I love that are super colourful, and I just wouldn't want that in my dining room, my living room, or my bedroom. Maybe in the office, we'll get to that in another video. But I'm drawn to it, but I don't want to live in it. And so you will notice kind of a certain pattern of, right, this is what the majority is, and then you can help yourself by narrowing it down in that way. You'll kind of find your colour palette throughout that, and it's a really easy way of doing it. But, you know, most of us know what we like in some way, shape or form. And for me, for sure, it's that kind of beach house vibe. I love the whites and the linens and the clean. Everything I love about it can't necessarily be brought into our house for multiple reasons. Couldn't have a white sofa. I want a white sofa so bad. But I kind of come to the conclusion that's never going to happen. I like an upholstered chair, but I think I prefer the wooden styles. I have a couple of mood boards I'm going to share. The first one it's still kind of like indicative of what I'm into, but it was one that I created around a house that we were really interested in. We actually, again, it's in the Q&A, but we actually put in an offer. We were actually going to buy that house for a second. And so I'd made this mood board of like, right, this is what the kitchen looks like. This is how I'm going to make it lighter and brighter and fit into this theme I have. So that still is current, that's still relevant, but my current mood board is more specific to the space I know we're going to have and some of the items that I know for sure we're going to have. And it's more about the dining area because the kitchen, we are going to be making some changes to. But the dining area is like carte blanche. It's like going to just be, there's nothing in there once mum and dad have moved. So we're going to need a dining table. The chairs I'm not 100% sure about. I'm kind of in between 4 styles right now. Not those specific chairs, but it's just kind of like that style of chair. but I think I'm probably going to end up with something kind of wooden. I do also like the idea of something that could potentially be sanded down and reupholstered or whatever at a certain point if I decided to change my mind later. These are big expenses. We've lived with IKEA furniture for a very long time, and now we're kind of like putting down roots somewhere, I suppose, which seems crazy because we've lived here for 4 years, but we always knew we were going to move. So now we know we're going to stay for a considerable amount of time. It feels like finally we're going to put something in the house that feels like this is settled. This is like, we'll buy a dining table. I'm so excited. So yeah, the dining chairs have been like, what am I going to have? But I know I want something kind of like a solid, chunky. I love the refectory style tables, but they're so expensive. A solid, chunky dining table. I know we're going to have the blue sofa from the living room in the snug. I would quite like a sideboard china cabinet. Maybe that'll go opposite the sofa with the TV above it, and still kind of like in with the blues, with the kind of distressed woods. Brighten it up a little bit without things being white. I've come to terms with it. I can't have a white sofa. Can't have a white sofa, but I can have other white things. I'm not sure what I'm going to do on the wall next to the dining table. I'm thinking of maybe paneling. I know that's very like of the now, but paneling feels like, I don't know, do you think it's going to be one of those things that's really passé in a few years because so many people have done it? It's a classic thing that's come back, which makes me feel like maybe it'll be okay, maybe it'll be a timeless thing. But I'm not sure. There are so many things that I'm looking for something that's like comfortable, cozy, warm, inviting. I want it to be current and like feel new and fresh, but I want it to be timeless. And I feel very strongly that this is an impossible task. But I have an idea in my mind of what it's going to look like, of the vibe that I want when I sit in there. Lee is like, you do whatever you want. He would be happy to hire someone to do this. I'm like, number one, offense. Number two, do not take that away from me. This is like the most exciting part of moving into more of the house, is like being able to actually decorate it. But yeah, I've got a very specific vision. It's just in the back of my mind. I don't want to make any decisions that are like too trendy, and a lot of it is, this is expensive, so you'd better get it right. I do also have a rug right now in the living room that I love in the living room. It's beautiful, but I think that probably will end up going underneath the dining table because it just fits in so well. Plus the blue sofa is going to go in there. It just fits so well with the aesthetic that I'm kind of leaning towards. The kitchen area, although it was new when we bought the house, we didn't actually get to pick any of the fittings. Everything was already built. We bought the house, someone else had already purchased it, and then they decided to buy a different plot. So we basically got a slightly better deal on this house because everything was already fitted. There was nothing that was offensive. Everything was neutral. We were fine with it. But I pretty early on was like, I really wish there were different countertops. And we kind of discussed maybe having them changed quite early on, and it just seemed wasteful to do that because it was brand new. Now there's been 2 families living here. I feel after 4 years, it's had double the use of a regular kitchen, and so I don't feel too bad in changing things now. I'm going to keep the cupboards for now. We would eventually like to change those things, but the actual layout of the kitchen and stuff is fine. We don't need anything in terms of the appliances. So what we're going to do is just have the countertop changed, and I think we're going for like a white countertop. The kitchen sink we'd like to be white. We're going to have some like brass fittings, and we want tiles to go all the way up. So at the moment we've got like 1 row of tiles, and on the behind the sink where it used to get dirty on the wall a lot, I did like a chalkboard wall. But I'd like all of those tiles to just be like white all the way up. Like the herringbone, but again, is that too trendy? I don't know. But I just would like fresh white tiles all the way up the back. We also changed the handles recently. They were like weirdly modern, but like 2002 modern is how I would describe them. They just weren't my style, and so we changed them for like brass kind of angular ones from Amazon that I'm really happy with, and that was really easy. I think it's just going to make the world of difference. That in itself made a big difference. So having new counters and the tiling, I think it's going to feel like a brand new kitchen without a huge expense of like actually replacing it. The bar stools at the moment are my parents', and they were very much, because they had so much furniture, they came into the house, furnished some areas, and I just thought at some point we'll change them, and we didn't. And then the longer on it went, I was like, well, what's the point? Because we're moving in a year, or, you know, that's how it goes. So I'm excited to like choose some of these things for myself. But I'm not sure about the bar stools until I've made the decision of the dining chairs, because I don't want them to clash, and the dining chairs are going to be like the most important choice. If it ends, I may end up getting like bar stools that don't have backs, so they're not kind of competing, but yeah, I don't know. Plus we'll probably change the kitchen first. So many things. So on from the like dining and the snug as the utility, I don't think we're going to change much with that at all, at least initially. There's nothing wrong with it. It's exactly the same as the kitchen, which there's nothing wrong with the kitchen. It's just we would like it to be kind of fresh and new and feel like we've chosen some things. The utility I care a little bit less about. And again, there's nothing wrong with it. So I think what I'm probably planning on doing down the line is turning that into kind of like a pantry laundry room. Mom has got a lot more stuff than me, and I don't think I'm going to need all of the cupboard space that she's using in there. Again, because she kind of brought all of her cookware and things. And I have boxes of like kitchen things in the garage that it's going to be like a time capsule when we open them, because there was no point in me coming with like all of our cutlery, they didn't have places to like store all of their stuff. And so I kind of either got rid of things or I stored the things that I thought I was going to want after we like went our separate ways again. So it's going to be interesting to see how much space I've got, because, you know, Mom's got a lifetime worth of stuff that she's accumulated, whereas I haven't. So I don't think I'm going to need all of that storage space and utility, and I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to shelve it out to be more like pantry storage, like canned stuff and like, you know, things that you don't necessarily need day to day in the kitchen. Downstairs bathroom, downstairs toilet, whatever you want to call it. The only thing I know I want to do there is something funky with the wallpaper. As so many people have done now, I really want to do the thing of feeling like you've gone to like a fancy restaurant or a bar, you go into the bathroom and you're like, I have to take a selfie in here. That's what I want. I want a selfie moment in the downstairs toilet. Some really funky wallpaper, a really cool mirror. I'm probably going to paint the door. I don't love the doors in this house. They are wooden. I'm sure they were not cheap doors, but they're hollow. They're not my style at all. I would much prefer a panelled door. I was talking to my dad about this the other day, and he said it's so funny because it's not that long ago since people were having like a sheet of wood put over their panelled doors to like modernize them, because people didn't like the panelled doors because they got the dust. So, I mean, everything just comes back. I realize everything is like cyclical like that, but it's insane to me that these like straight doors would be preferable to panelled doors. That said, my taste in homeware has changed so much over the last 10 years. And there are things now that I really like that 10 years ago I'd have been like, like, no, that's so old fashioned. And I don't know if it's my age or if it's just the trends have come back around to something a little bit more traditional. And so I'm like, oh yeah, I like it because everyone else likes it. That's quite possible that that's why. But I feel now that some of the things that were put in this house were modern, but like modern 10 years ago, if you know what I mean. And they're just not, it's not for me. I'd like to make a lot of changes that aren't necessary. And the doors are one of those things. I definitely don't need to be changing all of the doors in the house. And you can see a lot of the doors at once, so I couldn't really change one of the doors. Like some I can maybe get away with because you can just see that door, like the utility. But very few I could really do that with. So I think what I'm going to do in some rooms is paint the door on the inside of the room. So in the bathroom, I'm going to paint that, whatever it goes with the wallpaper that I choose, I'm going to do it like a dark colour or a funky colour that goes with it. Because I'm not into it. I'm not into it. Sorry, not into it. I'm not into the door handles either. I'm just staring at the door right now like, nah, I don't get it. So the living room, if you've been following my vlogs at all, you'll know that over the past few months, I've made my little changes to the living room. In fact, I am currently waiting. I've just realised today it's going to be delivered. I ordered a blind. After 4 years, I'm taking down the tension rods and actually fitting a blind in the front room. I think it's going to look great. We are on a path, and so people walk past constantly, and you do feel kind of a little bit overlooked sometimes. And we've often said we're going to get blinds, but also this is the one source of light in this room. So I didn't really want to make it darker. Like, I'm filming this, it's 11:15 in the morning, and it feels, I mean, I know it's wintertime, but it's not a bright room. I'm super excited to have the kitchen and the dining area for that because it's so much brighter in there. That's what sold me the house. It's so funny. Me and my mum have spoken about this. The areas of the house we were like, oh my God, this is amazing. But neither of us have really benefited from it because we've had to cut things in two. So, you know, it's just going to be amazing. It's going to be amazing to have all of that space. But this room then, I don't think I'll be quite as bothered about it being dark because I'll have some brighter areas. I just like light. I love winter. I don't mind cold weather. I don't mind it getting dark earlier at nighttime, but I like some bright light in the day. And I don't feel like I really ever get that in the living room. So I'm excited to be able to have like an area that I can sit in the dining area or the kitchen, I can spend some time in the day where it's really bright. Anyway, so I've made a lot of changes to the living room over the past few months. I put in the rug, love the rug. It's from Cocoon, not sponsored, will buy a million more rugs from them. It was really inexpensive. I think it was around £55 for a massive rug. It came really, really quickly and it's a gorgeous rug. It's just really, really nice quality. It's thin, it's low pile, but it's just really nice. I can't recommend it enough. I think it's an Irish company. Anyway, this one's going to go in the dining area, and then I think I'm going to get a more neutral version of this. I'm then going to get a neutral, larger sofa. So when I talked about it in the vlogs, lots of people told me to get rid of the large leather sofa that we've got. It's like past its best, whatever. It's so comfortable. It's really deep. Our living room is very long and difficult to furnish for that reason. We would really need quite an expensive, large, oversized corner in order to do this better, I think. And we would love to do that, but there are other things we want to spend our money on for the time being. You know, in another couple of years, if we decide that we're going to stay even longer, then I think maybe we would do that, or if we can find something modular that can be split up in a different house. But for now, I think we're going to just get another 3-seater, because this, as it is right now, is like it'll do for now, in terms of the sofa layouts, because I had a 2-seater that used to be in a different place. It's a whole thing. I've had this living room in a million different layouts since we've lived here. But really it needs to be a 3-seater or a 4-seater there to fill the space, and it's going to be more neutral. I may go for another velvet because it's a lot more washable than you would imagine. This is a washable velvet from Next, and I've had it for 3-4 years, and I love it. I just love it. It absolutely is washable, and it comes up really well every time. And I had a chair that was velvet from Next that was the same. I would be tempted to buy from Next again for that reason. Plus, I've looked at sofas recently, and I always thought Next was mega expensive, and actually it's kind of middle of the line when it comes to expensive sofas, because there are some very expensive sofas out there. But I think we're going to get something neutral, and we'll just kind of have this whole room, I think, probably be relatively neutral. I want it to just be like a cozy space. It's just going to be for relaxing in the evening, watching TV, because we're going to have other areas of the house to spend our time in. I do really like the black and white photos that I've put up in here as well. I was like, I had a moment where I decided to change them for something else a month or so ago. I didn't like it. I put the black and white buttons back up. I think I just want it neutral in here. And I think in this corner where I'm sitting right now, I'm going to do like a little armchair, because otherwise it's just going to be a completely bare corner on its own. So an armchair, a little table, I think will be cute. And I think we'll probably be done. I've really enjoyed the blue and white theme in here. And if I was like on the fence about that for the kitchen diner, this has totally sold it to me. And I was thinking maybe we'll just carry it on and just have it the whole thing. But I think I want it to be different in the living room, and neutrals, maybe some pinks. I think that's where we're at. So next week, we're going to talk about upstairs. So we've got obviously the master bedroom that I haven't even thought about yet. There are a couple of, well, maybe this colour. I know there's some bronze mirrored wardrobes Mum and Dad have. I never spend any time in there, so I can't really even picture it. They've got an ensuite that I've not thought about at all. What am I going to do with the ensuite? Don't know. It's going to be a strange thing. I've thought a lot about like my vision. I've said to my mum, like, what are you most excited about when you move? Like, what's the thing? And my thing is sitting in the dining area, like sitting at the dining table in the morning, having my coffee, having made Lee his coffee, takes the dog for a walk. I like have a little bit chill time in the morning before the kids come down. I have to take them to school. That is my moment. The thing of sitting, looking out into the garden, which is a whole different video. Oh my God, I have 1,000 different ideas for a garden. I've never been interested in the garden at all, but it's felt a little bit like living in an apartment, because the back of the house is like Mum and Dad spend time. Well, that's kind of their space. And so because they've got the double doors that overlook the garden, they want to have the doors open, which you would do. And so it's kind of like being in their living room. And so the garden's just been their space, which I think they would probably say they don't feel that way, but we don't feel like it's ours either. So again, lose-lose in these situations. But we haven't really used the garden at all. So throughout lockdown, when everyone's like, I'm so glad to have this outdoor space, I barely went in the garden. So I'm really, really excited to have that space to do with what I want. I think probably more so now after lockdown than I ever would have been. And I've got 1,000 different ideas. So I'm excited to film that video. Some of them are like so outlandish. Wraparound porch, genuinely. I'm never going to do that, but it's like the dream. Something like New Englandy. I just really want to live in like Boston or something. I think that's probably the thing. Somewhere Massachusettsy would be for me. Something that still had seasons, but I love like just that whole New England home vibe. That's basically what I want for my house. In a new build in Yorkshire, of course. So I'm really excited about that. That's going to be a really cool thing. I'm also really excited about our, I say our, it's mine, my office. So it will be where I do my actual day job, so I can be working up there and I'm like not bothering anyone. If I'm having to work till like 8 or even 10 at night, I'm up there on my own. It's also going to be where all the wardrobes are. It's where I can film my videos, where I can keep everything and close the door on it. I'm really excited to have that. Ella's also going to have a wardrobe in there, and all of the makeup and stuff is going to be in there. So that's going to free up some space in her room. And then really that's the main things that are going to change upstairs. Our new bedroom and that room that is just going to be a total game changer. I'm theoretically not going to have random bits of makeup and tripods and camera equipment all over the house. It's just going to be in there. We'll see. We'll see how that actually works out. But I hope that this has been entertaining or useful for those of you that actually wanted to see this video, because I've spoken about it on Instagram and people have asked for a video version, so here we are. So hopefully this kind of like ticked the box for those of you who actually requested this kind of video, or maybe it was useful for those of you who are looking for ideas for your own houses. Obviously, as always, if you've got any suggestions or recommendations, leave me a comment below. Can't promise I'll take the suggestion, but I've got a lot of ideas from people like on social media so far when I've kind of put things out. What about this? What about that? People have like turned me on to some really amazing sources or resources for like the kind of vibe I'm looking for. So please let me know. I'm already excited to talk about the garden. I'm not sure about the upstairs space yet. We'll see, but we'll do that next week. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.